In this video, we are going to take a look at LSU and why they are going to win another NCAA championship. But as well, I will also give the other side on why they won't win a championship. But before we start, if you like the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and give the video a like. All right, let's get into this. Now, there is a reason that LSU was the prohibitive favorite to start this season. And in a nutshell, that reason was talent. And they have a bundle of talent with Angel Reese returning and Flau'jae Johnson. And then combine that with Anissa Morrow and other transfer portal buddy Haley Van Lith. And well, they started the season with a fizzle as they met Colorado in the early season tournament and got their butts kicked. And then after that, things did not get much better. Angel Reese left the team for a period of time. Then they went to the Grand Cayman tournament and they lost Samaya Smith to an ACL injury. Now, Angel returned after the Grand Cayman tournament, but then Kateri Poole left the team, and it's just been an up and down, bumpy ride the entire season. So you would say, why do you say that they are looking good to win the national championship? And I would say, well, it's because they are now clearly playing their best basketball and seem to have figured it out. Which is not a surprise, as that is what Kim Mulkey usually does. And essentially, she has got this team around, and now they are playing good enough defense, and they're holding on to the ball well enough. Now combine that with Angel Reese and Anissa Morrow seeming to be totally locked in, and you have yourself a deadly team. Not to mention, it just seems like Flau'jae Johnson is getting better and better. She was unbelievable versus Ole Miss in the semifinal game of the SEC tournament. She went for 8 for 14 for 21 points, and she was just everywhere. And the thing with the Ole Miss game, it looked like, man, they have really figured it out because Michaela Williams being injured allowed POA and HVL to start together, and it just looked good versus Ole Miss. And you're like, wow. Somebody put it in my comment section, we've been talking about HVL and POA and who should be starting over who, and really should have been Williams coming off the bench. And I think that commenter might have had something, and I sort of agree that, it does look good. Williams coming off the bench because she gives you sort of that instant offense, which South Carolina fan, if you're watching this, they'll be laughing at me because I just made the argument that Full Wiley should be starting. But to be honest, that video was really just to show clips of Full Wiley being dominant and throwing a bit of shine on Tessa Johnson. But anyway, now I'm arguing the opposite point because I wouldn't mind if Mulkey slow played Michaela Williams' injury and kept POA and HVL in the starting lineup together because it just takes so much pressure off of HVL, and they essentially have her running the off guard. She can play off guard. It looks good, and it looked great up until POA's injury, and that's the thing with LSU season. It's always like 2 steps forward, then 1 step back, and then what happens after that? Well, in this case, I think that's why Mulkey was so pleased after the South Carolina game. Instead of turtling after the POA injury, they actually dug in and got stuck in and really went well to finish off the game, first of all, against Ole Miss, as Flau'jae Johnson really came through. In addition, HVL really held up. And then again, against South Carolina, I thought they would probably fall apart in that game with the loss of POA. And South Carolina did put a lot of pressure on HVL. Raven Johnson was putting a lot of ball pressure on, but they handled it and they were in the game the whole way. Kim Mulkey pointed out that playing in Greenville, it was like an away game because there were so many South Carolina fans there. And overall, she was ecstatic with the way her team responded and where they are at going into the tournament. Now, a few things with that. You obviously need a healthy POA, which appears to be the case. She's in concussion protocol, but they're saying that she's getting better every day and there are no significant issues there. So you think she would be fine by the tournament as well. They say that the keeping Michaela Williams out was precautionary, that she could have played if required. And in fact, she did play 22 minutes in the championship game versus South Carolina and wasn't limping or anything like that. So you would think that both Poa and Williams would be good for the tournament. And ultimately, if you have Poa, HVL, Williams, Falaje Johnson, Anissa Morrow, and finally the incomparable Angel Reese, love her or hate her, you cannot deny that she is an unbelievable presence on that LSU team and that now she is locked in and destroying teams on the boards and seems very focused and locked in and going to do everything that she can to take LSU back to the Final Four and win a championship. Now, as well, don't forget the last two NCAA champions have come from the SEC, South Carolina, and then LSU. And Mulkey pointed it out that, hey, if we meet South Carolina again, it will be in the championship game. Now, she didn't say this, but I think she was indicating it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a row. And I think LSU is quite willing to roll their dice. Third time lucky. Here we go. For all the marbles, we will step up and be ready, be fully healthy, and here we go. Now, obviously, I have just painted a sunny LSU picture that always look on the bright side, and here we go. But if you are an LSU detractor or looking for dark clouds, then you would say the following in terms of being pessimistic of them winning the championship. Number one, it is hard to win back-to-back championships. I don't think it's been done since UConn had Breanna Stewart, and since then it's been different champion every year. So that alone just shows you how difficult it is to repeat as the NCAA champion. And then combine that with the element of luck. It is a one-and-done tournament, and at some point during the tournament, you need the ball to bounce your way. So last year, LSU was on the verge of getting eliminated. I think it was Jenna Johnson who had 2 free throws to win the game. She airballed the first one that would have tied it and then missed the second to tie it, and it was game over. But basically, she could have put Utah up by 1, and we wouldn't be talking about what a genius Kim Mulkey was and how unbelievable LSU is. So you need some level of luck. The other concerning issue is LSU's lack of depth. So any sort of injury they cannot tolerate as well. If Angel Reese gets in foul trouble, there's just no way to overcome it, or it would be very difficult because all they have to back her up is Del Rosario, or they would have to go small with potentially putting Anissa Morrow at center, which would be fun. I wouldn't mind seeing that lineup, actually. But obviously, you need Angel Reese to stay out of foul trouble. And if she gets in foul trouble, that is a big problem for them, like it was in the first game when they met South Carolina at home and Angel Reese fouled out at the end. And that really allowed South Carolina to take control of that game at the end. So there you go. Those are the 2 arguments. The one for LSU will win the championship and the one that they won't. If you're an LSU fan, though, Mulkey's put together a good team and one that gives you a chance. And really, that's all you want is your team to be playing well and going into the tournament. So LSU fan has that. Anyway, give me your thoughts and opinions and your poison. LSU back-to-back champions, yes or no?